Greetings to each and every single one of my kinfolk. It just so happens to be I. Proud representative of
the highest order.
Coming at y'all today with another installation of Baked Listening, where I talk about a dope new album that I've been listening to. And today we are talking about the culmination of one of my favorite artists' careers in a lot of ways. We have
Child soldier, creator of God.
by Greg Puciato. You may know him from a cool project that he's put out recently with a few other dope musicians, Killer Be Killed. You may also know him for his awesome, smooth R&B synthwave band Black Queen, and you probably also know him most famously for the Dillinger Escape Plan, because they were just one of the most insane bands the world has known. We are talking about a moment in time where Greg Puciato is integrating years and years of material, of life experiences, and creating this beautiful, beautiful brew of extremely, extremely eclectic influences. And he's going all Prince with it, because he pretty much plays everything on this himself except for drums, because he was like, I was thinking about actually learning drums for like a year or so, but that ended up being a hindrance in the progress. So he's like, I know some of the best in the world, so let's just get them. And let's get into that personnel, since it's not that many people in the first place. We have the entire record being produced by Nick Rowe, mixed by Steve Evans, mastered by Alan Douche. And of course, Greg Puciato used his know-how. He's been playing guitar since he's 9 years old, supposedly. So he knows what he's doing. So he did that. Did all the electronics on the album, and also the bass guitar, which he just picked up for this album. And we also have on drums Chris Penny, Chris Hornbrook, and Ben Collar of Converge fame. So he's getting some heavy hitters in there as well. But I think the album cover itself, as much as you might not be able to actually tell what's going on here, this is actually an image of Greg Puciato when he was 6 years old. It's just really distorted. And like I was saying, this album is about integration in a lot of ways and artistic freedom, because we have Greg Puciato not even looking at genre as a consideration. He is simply looking at sounds and emotional tools and bridging all those together in an album format that seeks to kind of like exercise the demons of his creative limitations that he's struggled through in other bands. I really think it's incredibly interesting when you hear the stories about the Dillinger Escape Plan when they're in their last years, because it seems like it was an extremely conflicting artistic relationship where Ben Weinman was at one pole, Greg Puciato was at another pole, and they just decided that it was best to let that thing go as opposed to allow the pressure of it to completely squeeze the life out of everyone who was in it. Because I don't know if you've seen Dillinger live footage, but you can't just do that casually. No, you can't. It's got to take pretty much everything you got, and they gave us everything they had to the very end without much of a misstep, if you ask me. So, how is Greg Puciato sounding on this record? Well, if you've listened to those two bands that I mentioned previously, the Dillinger Escape Plan and the Black Queen, they sit at 2 poles. Like the Black Queen being much more soft, and Dillinger Escape Plan, while it had some softness here and there, kind of, it sounds like razor blades. And now we have all of Greg's influences coming and resting in this beautiful, beautiful place. I feel like you get influences from 90s R&B. Like, I know Greg's a huge fan of Jodeci. You get some freaking Jodeci up in this piece. You get some crazy synth pop. I'm not really into synth music, so I don't know, like Nine Inch Nails, stuff like that. I don't know what I'm talking about. You get some like things that remind me of like 2010, like early 2010s, like indie rock. Like, I feel like I hear some Julian Lynch. I don't know if any of you know who Julian Lynch is. Julian Lynch is dope. Here's some Destroyer a little bit in there as well. Like, yeah, of course you get a little bit of Dillinger Escape Plan as well. I hear some like crazy freaking like post rock, like kind of sounds like Cult Leader sometimes. Like, it's just it doesn't care about any of those things. It looks at screams and heavily distorted guitars as simply an aggressive paint palette, and it looks at smooth like electronic synthy just pleasantries as another paint palette. It's freaking wonderful too. Like, Greg Puciato is he's princing it up. He's princing it up, and I think you could make an argument that he is heavy music's Prince at this point, because he is really putting something out there. It reminds me of an artist that I don't like as much, but I respect. Devin Townsend. Devin Townsend kind of just makes whatever he wants, and he uses the vast reality of music to paint whatever that picture he paints is. I don't necessarily like it as much as I like this, though. I put on a sweater because I feel like this music is extremely sophisticated. We have songs that I legitimately would not be surprised if they could hit like top 40 status, because they're just so well done, and this is just such a complete project. It really does feel like a complete project where it feels obsessed over to a degree that I'm sure was very exhausting. I'm sure it was extremely exhausting. And let's just go into some of these songs. You have a song, Deep Set, that sounds like a freaking goth rock song. Like, oh my goodness, it's beautiful. I want more things like this in heavy music. I think we need it. I think it is a progression that will allow for so much more earnest artistic expression, because one of the things that does happen with genres, even if I freaking love all these crazy subgenres, like even if I freaking love death metal, like you can only express so much in death metal, and of course there are some artists that try and push that, but it's still a creative limitation in a lot of ways. And if more artists created in a way like this, and honestly created in a way that, like, I'm gonna get into marketing a little bit, like I'm not afraid to do that. If Greg Puciato would have had the nuts to go as Greg Puciato for a big portion of his career, I could only imagine what heights he could have achieved. But you know, I mean, thankfully he doesn't make music with the heights to be achieved being the only thing he's considering, because this has to be an honest artistic expression. And as much as, like, there are songs on here like A Pair of Questions, which is just this freaking just banging romantic song. Like it's a romantic song about, like, I feel like something that a lot of people can relate to in this day and age, kind of like situationships, where it's like you can't really define what your relationship to this person is, but you really enjoy their role in your life, and you know there might be some unrequited feelings or something, but it's just a banger of a song, very very like oof, just you could just groove to it, man. You could just really groove to it. And we also have Temporary Object, which just so good. And just the push-pull dynamics of this entire album will really reward multiple listenings. And there's also some parts where Greg's gonna kind of test your metal. Like there's, like, I think second song, there's a freaking like 2-minute just noise interlude that I'm sure your average person, like, if they hear A Pair of Questions and then they go listen to that song, they're gonna be like, what? Or how about Roach Hiss? Roach Hiss is just a caustic and extremely hostile song that, yeah, if you play like, I don't know, if you play Down When I'm Not, like in the car with your mom, and she's like, this song is awesome, and then Roach Hiss comes on, she's gonna be like, what the what's going on here? How can this man sound like an angel and also a decomposing rat in a sewer gutter? He does it. And he does it extremely well. And you also get a rather tongue-in-cheek way of Greg letting you know, in case you're like, oh man, he's probably never gonna make heavy music again because he's not in Dillinger anymore, even though he like was doing Killer Be Killed stuff. People were still complaining. I don't know. He hits us with, do you need me to remind you? Does he need us to remind? Does he need us, or does he need him? Does he need to remind us that he can scream and take it to the heaviest depths possible? And he does it on that song. Goodness gracious. And it is so good. So good. But we get some real emotional density throughout this record. A variety of wonderful textures that can be explored and enjoyed with multiple listenings. And we get to have an opportunity to support an artist that is really trying to be independent and create a new model that will allow more beautiful music like this to be produced, because the record companies, the industry stuff, like all those middlemen, they really do make it a lot more difficult for people to make a viable living and be able to share their art with us. It shows a lot about the desecrated nature of our nation in a lot of ways, because the arts are so mishandled and most mistreated. But this record, it just has so much spirit. It has so much spirit, and it has a lot of sentiments that can't necessarily be described in words very well. At least, I don't feel like trying to do that. But so much going on here, and so much to be enjoyed in these 15 effing tracks. I really, really love the lyrics in the song Evacuation, and it made me like feel this kind of like this sense of awe and this appreciation of this role that artists play in the lives of us, their audience. In the song Evacuation, these lyrics are here, I'm just going to read them straight up. You see yourself when you see me walk through the air when we're free, uncertain in your sovereignty. We feel awake when others sleep. Don't you and I belong? Or where did I go wrong? And to me, at least, I'm interpreting that as him just letting us, the audience, know that all that idolization and all that appreciation that we thrust upon these artists who are on the stage just being free, and us going to like Dillinger concerts and feeling extremely free, just like flinging our bodies around, which I've done a few times. Been to a few Dillinger concerts, you know what I'm saying? They fun. And it's really kind of a beautiful sentiment for him to reach out and pull us in and say, like, look, like we're the same thing in that moment. Like, I am you, you are me. Like, it's crazy that we're doing this. But then at the end of the song, he's also like, sometimes it feels like, as beautiful of connection that is, it doesn't really mean that, because darkness is around us. And it whispers such dark and terrible things in our ears. And yeah, subconscious, man. I've been delving into the subconscious quite a bit lately, and it's very interesting. And one sentiment that I think Greg would agree with is that subconscious, that unconscious mind, whatever you want to call it, it is that space where an artist can often be their most authentic self, be that vessel that perfectly encapsulates their specific expression. And I think it's awesome that Greg has gone and used other artistic mediums, because he put out a freaking like photo poetry book, and Black Queen, and then even like learn new instruments. Like through things like that, you recognize like, okay, these mediums, they are all their specific things, but you can take any of these tools and express your inner soul, your inner self, in a way that but nobody else can, and that's the beauty of this existence. That's the beauty of the artist's journey. You experience, you live in the depth, and then you take that and you share it with people. And I appreciate Greg Puciato for all he has shared over the years. Big fan of a lot of his music, and one thing you cannot argue, at least I don't think you can. I don't think you can argue that Greg Puciato doesn't sound like Greg Puciato, and every project that he's in doesn't feel the depth of that creativity, and I think benefit from it. So, of course, when he sits and does something that can be very uncomfortable, just bravely like puts his name to a project that is very, very personal, very internal. This is beautiful integrative work. I think a psychologist would be proud. I think we can all be inspired by this approach, and we can all benefit from a similar approach as far as going out into the world and expressing ourselves and embarking on our own artist journeys. So check it out. I don't know if you can find any more vinyl pressings. They might be all sold out now, but go stream the heck out of this. Really, really good. I'm extremely impressed, and I do hope that Greg continues to put out more solo work, because this was exceptional. Just want to share a little personal story. I actually just thought of this. Whilst living in LA briefly, went to a Royal Thunder concert. Oof! And goodness, one of the best concerts I've ever seen. Royal Thunder is sick. Love that band. Anyways, after the show, I see Greg Puciato just chilling, and I'm like, oh dang, I'm a punish him. I don't think I was that bad. But I just, I mispronounced his name though. I called him Puciato, but he didn't seem to really trip too much, so it was cool. And he actually he was like, I feel like I recognize you, and I was like, I mean, we don't know each other, but I have been to several Dillander shows, and my crazy ass normally ends up on the stage during 43% burnt, baby. Because why wouldn't I? And he's like, yeah. I feel like because oftentimes during said song is when he starts blowing fire from a torch. Really cool. Really cool. He says in moments of extremity like that, those people who are there in that moment get kind of like burned into his memory. So I was one of those memories, and then we just so happened to meet up. I, told him about how I appreciated him as a musician and whatnot, and then went our separate ways. But it's that type of cool connection that can be brought about when people express themselves with artistic integrity, and I appreciate this offering from Greg Puciato, and I appreciate every bit of enjoyment all of his musical projects have given me up to this point, and I anticipate more to come, and I anticipate I'm done with this video now. Bye-bye!